Hello there, my name's Angela Kirin of Angela Kirin Media, and I'm here in the glorious Nimbin, New South Wales, to interview Andrew Kavasilas. Who is he? Let's find out. So Andrew, tell us, what is it, in your own words, what you do?
Well, at the moment, I'm working, I suppose, at a corporate level. Yeah, there's no getting around it. I founded a couple of companies, an industrial hemp seed company called Hemp, and a medical cannabis company called Medical Cannabis Limited, and then a mining company, bought a controlling interest in the medical cannabis company, ASX listed company, Queensland Bauxite Limited, and from the added energy that and impetus we were able to get from that, we put 5 or 6 industrial hemp companies together, including a state-of-the-art de-hulling processing plant up at Coolum, which is Hemp Hulling Co.
So what would you say is the major obstacles? Would it be people's attitudes towards it, or what do you think?
There's different levels. When you talk about the propaganda that was introduced about the 1930s, you've got to understand where that came from. So
Yes.
underlying the whole prohibition of cannabis, this worldwide international prohibition of cannabis,
Yes.
it's tied back to the United Nations, the INCB, the International Narcotic Control Board. They administer the laws for the whole world on medicines and drugs, including opium, coca, and cannabis. So the underlying issue for cannabis is that no government owns it. It's just like coca and opium. People can look into this themselves, but no government owns it. And if you understand that, well, then you have to accept the companies own it.
Just yesterday you mentioned something that was really interesting about police doing saliva tests.
Oh, yes. It's another really big obstacle here in
Yes.
Australia for what's going on. We're the only country to do them. These saliva tests were tested all over the world internationally. They were found to be unreliable and couldn't be recommended. And there were certain things that were brought up about them, including that governments were warned if you introduce this type of measure, you run a real risk of influencing your drug use trends. So people will go away from using cannabis to other drugs that aren't even being tested for pharmaceutical and prescription drugs, and also other drugs that technically they're a poison to the body, like the alcohol, methamphetamine. You can time how long it takes for the body to get rid of it, whereas with cannabis it doesn't work like that. What we saw during the debate, an almost 10-year debate to get hemp seed food products approved in Australia, where the police around Australia took it upon themselves to influence whole of state government responses to the approval coming out of constant approvals coming out of the federal FSANZ, the Food Standards Authority of Australia and New Zealand. They're the body you have in your food. They have a look at it. They conduct their own research, which they did do with cannabis multiple times, with hemp seed multiple times. They found it to be a good food, not another processing aid, not another chemical, not another GMO grain and corn and cottonseed and wheat. And they were actually approving a good food. We're growing low THC hemp. It's not no THC. It's industrial hemp. It's very low, but it's still there, and it is there in the food. And so, while on the one hand they've finally approved hemp seed food with maximum allowable limits of Delta 9, you've still got police trying to detect minute traces under laboratory confirmation for Delta 9. So we have this juxtaposition, and as an extension of that, when you apply this regime and a rollout of the genuine, meaningful medical cannabis regime, how saliva testing and medical cannabis going to work? Why would a company want to commit $10 million to comply with all the government regulations, set up a medical cannabis facility, and only have a very small patient group who won't be allowed to drive, could lose their licenses, and definitely won't be able to use cannabis to get on with their life? So, this issue's not over yet.
You have children of your own?
Yep.
How do you actually teach your children?
Oh, look, with kids, I'm fairly certain how I feel about how cannabis use in children. My rule is wait for your mind to develop before you try and expand it.
Yes, and it's not for everybody. Everybody has a responsibility.
Most people don't smoke cannabis. Most people in the world have never used cannabis. They're never going to need to use it. it's something that can exacerbate underlying mental health conditions, and so you want to be old enough before you're doing that. It's a bit like alcohol. My children, I was really lucky. My kids, they, even though they grew up around cannabis and in Nimbin and a lot of activity and exposed to a lot of cannabis use, I kept a pretty hard line that I was pretty certain I wasn't fighting for changing laws to let kids smoke cannabis. So, that kind of thing was enforced a bit harder in my household. And my kids grew up in a time where party drugs and MDMA and even meth and ice were making their way. So I would have hated to have been growing up under the pressures that they have nowadays, kids. So, my house was a fairly straight house, I suppose, compared to a lot of others. And, we're in a stereotypical, cannabis-using family. I mean, we've had careers and stuff, and vocations. I did. I've always worked. The kids always worked. They understand, they're like, I suppose we're just like a normal family when you consider the number of, people who smoke cannabis in Australia. And for a majority of them, they do keep it quiet. I describe Nimbin as being like Oxford Street before gay rights came along. Okay. So when the media wanted to see gay, they went to Oxford Street, and the assumption was that all gay folk in Australia lived there. Yes. Cannabis users, it's much the same. When the media want to see pop cannabis now, they come to Nimbin. Yeah, the assumption is that this is where it's all happening, and we see the change now where we're on that seesaw now where, what the public's saying, we don't think we want police to be spending so much money enforcing laws that we don't support, laws that will never be won, a prohibition that has failed, that's been abroad from the start. Yes. Let's redraw the line, especially when it comes to cannabis and drugs. Just put it to the other side of cannabis and put cannabis in with alcohol and tobacco, and let's deal with it properly. Yes, that would be a really good achievement. Yes. Well, thank you, Andrew. I'll just shake your hand. All right, no problem. Thank you. It's lovely talking to you. Thank you for your time. That's fine. Great. Yeah.